And we are live. Hey, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back tonight the incredible Wanda Morris here for this very special pre-launch event to give us the inside scoop on Anywhere You Run out tomorrow. Wanda, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah, for having me again. I always enjoy talking to you. Yeah, so Anywhere You Run is a story about two sisters who each of them finds themselves in trouble. One is pregnant and unmarried in the 1960s, which was a big no no. But the other sister is in deeper trouble because she was brutally attacked by a man and she killed her attacker. She knows that in the Jim Crow South, 1964, Mississippi, she won't get justice, so she takes off running. Both sisters actually flee. One sister heads to the north, the other remains in a small rural town in Georgia. But what the two women don't realize is that trouble is much closer than they think. And there is a man with some very dark secrets of his own. And he is hot on their trail because he has a very unique motive for finding the women.
He sure does, Wanda. And I can't wait to get into every delicious detail of Marigold, Violet, Rose, and this fabulous story. First, I just want to welcome everyone. So we're broadcasting live to 6 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. It is the right time. And it is Mystery Monday. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask this incredible award-nominated author, Wanda Morris, who just announced that her first book is set to become a fabulous show on Showtime starring Uzo Adobo. We got so much to talk about. So any questions you have for Wanda, get them going in the comments. And Nisa Joy, welcome to the conversation, saying, hello, Sarah and Wanda. I loved this book.
Hi, Anissa. I adore Anissa. Mwah. Hey,
She's
Anissa.
Fabulous bookstagrammer joining us live from South Carolina. Sharon, welcome to the conversation, saying hello from Minnesota. Sharon, always a pleasure to see your name pop up. Julie, hi, welcome, saying
Julie.
yay. I'm so excited to talk to Wanda and Sarah about this fabulous book. Julie, great to have you here. DL, welcome to the conversation, saying this book was so good. Anissa saying, congratulations, Wanda. Yes, ma'am. Congratulations, Wanda. This book is racking up all of the praise. 3-starred reviews from the industry trades. My goodness, congratulations on that. So well deserved. Let's take a peek at some of this rave review. Let's kick off first with Book List's starred review. And I'm going to pop that up right here for everyone so we can all read it together. Here it is right here, saying Morris follows the highly acclaimed All Her Little Secrets with a stunning novel about 2 Black sisters on the one victimized by an egregious crime and both guilty of simply wanting better lives for themselves. These parallel stories of hiding and pursuit, which lead to an amazing conclusion, are told in different but equally compelling voices of Violet and Marigold, each filled with its own fear and pain. This riveting and moving novel has echo of Zora Neale Hurston. So, Wanda, I would have that tattooed on my face if I got that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's talk about that. So, your first book took you 13 years to write. This one took you 1 year, but you are being compared to Queen Zora Neale Hurston. Tell us what you've learned from book 1 to book 2. How do you write a riveting follow-up?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, that's very high praise. Gosh, I'm just blown away by that. But it did take me 13 years from the start of my book to publication. Now, remember, if anybody knows my story, I put the book away for 7 years. And, folks, don't do what I did, but I put the book away and then I picked it back up. And even after I picked the book back up, I you know, realized very quickly that I needed to learn how to write a book. And so I think that the reason the first book took so long is because I was learning how to write a book as I was writing that book. Um, of course, with this book, I had a bit of a leg up because now I knew a little bit about pacing and characterization and dialogue and all those things that go into crafting an engaging story. Um, so yeah, I think because the characters were always kind of rambling around in my head that, you know, once I put pen to paper, the story started to really kind of flow. So it made it a little easier, but it's always hard starting a new project. I mean, you're a writer, you know this. You get to the desk and you're like, what are words? How do I do this all over again? But you know, you trust the process and you trust yourself and you get to a good place.
Well, you sure got to a good place because the praise just keeps coming. Congratulations, congratulations. And I want to get right into the comments because they are pouring in. Everybody is so excited to talk to you, Wanda. So I want to dive right in. Readers got to read. Hey, girl, good to see you. She said, congratulations. This was such a great read. So good to see you here. Thank you, ma'am. And oh my goodness. Okay, let's she says that she is looking forward to reading this new book.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank
And Nisa
you.
would like to know, Wanda, do your characters talk to you? And if yes, have they ever changed the book dramatically? Great question.
Wow, that is a great question, Anissa. And I have heard, and I have some author friends who say that their characters talk to them. My characters don't talk to me, they talk to each other. I feel like I'm eavesdropping on conversations that my characters are having in my head. And so I just try and capture it as fast as I can. Usually, when I even start a draft of a new project, I usually pour right into the dialogue because I hear that dialogue so clearly in my head, but it's between the characters and not necessarily them telling me the story needs to go this way or that way.
Wanda, when you say that you're eavesdropping, do you ever are they interrupting you in your daily practice? Like you're at dinner or you're at work and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you hear Marigold and Violet talking, and then what do you do? Do you pick up your notebook and start jotting, or you're trying to go to sleep and they're chatting away? Like what is that like?
I always carry a notebook and a pen. Sometimes if like I'm out exercising outside or something, I'll use the notes app on my phone and jot down the things that I hear. I always keep a notepad and a pen beside my bed because some lines have come to me just on the cusp of waking up. I will hear like a line or a piece of dialogue. And so I'm always, you know, making sure that I keep something close by where I can, you know, log it down. Yeah, I do. I do feel like I'm eavesdropping too, because there are some times where I've there's a conversation in All Her Little Secrets, if you've ever read All Her Little Secrets. And there's a conversation where Grace and Elise, who's the protagonist, are having this conversation about why Elise is working for the company she works for. And I remember hearing that conversation in my head and going, ooh, that's good. It felt like, you know, I was like standing at the door listening or something.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you for the great question, Anissa and Wanda. Thanks for the peek into your process. Julie says, Wanda, in the author note, you mentioned that some of the terms used are not okay or condoned by you. How did it feel to write using those terms and probably having to read them over and over again? Great question, Julie.
That is a great question. That was tough, along with a lot of the research too that I did for this particular book, because you know, for starters, the book opens with kind of an imagining of the murder of three civil rights activists who had come to Mississippi to help Black Mississippians secure the right to vote. And so I researched those events, saw pictures, read firsthand accounts. Those things were tough. But I'll tell you about the language in the book and the reason why I used the epithets that I did, because I hate epithets of any kind, racial, religious, whatever. But I use them because words matter, words are important. And during this period of time that the book takes place, one of the things that people did, segregationists, people who were pro segregation, did was to do anything that made Black people feel less than. And part of that is words. When you call someone an epithet, you are trying to make them feel less than. And it was also important to me to include those epithets because we're talking about the Deep South, 1964. That's how people talked. And to me, the book would seem inauthentic if I didn't include those words. I know that, a lot of people are like, I just don't even like to look at those words in a book. And I can appreciate that. Um, and I certainly respect that. But for me, using those terms lent authenticity to the book.
Julie, thank you for the powerful question. Wanda, thank you for the powerful answer. And I'd love to tag on to that because when I hosted Yasmin Ango, she
Mhm.
actually shared she had gotten some pushback from in the editorial process about her use of some
Mhm.
words out of fear from a sensitivity reader that it could hurt some people. At the same time, if we don't tell the truth about a painful part of history, that painful part of history could be lost or minimized or whitewashed, for lack of a better term. So what do you
Exactly.
think the balance is between being between honoring the past and not being
Yeah.
painful?
Yeah, yeah, and I too got some pushback,
Mhm.
during the editorial process. I think it's important when you are, preparing narrative where you're going to use terms like that, they should be there for a purpose, not to be thrown around willy-nilly. But in the passages where I use that, the characters are in a position where they are the power is unequal. And so it was necessary to put those terms in order to drive home the point about this theory that I have about being less than. Um,
Mm,
but if you're just using it in common banter and things like that, I'm not necessarily a fan of that.
mm. Wanda, thank you for this explanation and sharing this. Chelsea, welcome to the conversation. Good to have you here. Anissa would like to know, what is the book that you read that made you want to be a writer, Wanda?
Oh gosh, you know, gosh, because I've always loved books ever since I was like a little girl. And I mean, little, little. My mom says I started reading when I was 4. So I've just always loved books. Um, I didn't really think about being a writer until maybe I was like in college. But then I spent years, convincing myself that no, I couldn't really do that. That just seems so daunting. And, that's an endeavor for people who are far more, talented and smarter than I am. And so I don't think I really thought about writing as a career seriously until, gosh, maybe a few years before I started that first draft of All Her Little Secrets. So I was, grown, married, kids, where I finally said, maybe I can do this. Um, and, that's why I always tell, people who say, oh, I want to write a book one day. And I'm like, do it. I mean, if you feel like that's what you want to do it. most people, they kind of say that. I don't know if they really mean it very seriously. But I remember feeling that way and dismissing it and pushing down those thoughts. And I tell writers, don't do that. Listen to that instinct that is pushing you forward to do it. You know. Do as I say and not as I do, because I put my book away. So don't do
Mm.
that.
Mm. I relate so deeply to what you're saying, Wanda. I was the same. I actually knew since I was a little girl I wanted to be a writer, but I thought that's not for people like me. That's for people who
Mhm.
come from a, you know, more advantaged background, or people that, are better, smarter, have more, just other than me. I
Yeah.
wonder why we tell ourselves that. Is it because writing is so, it seems out of our reach, and why does that? It's interesting how.
I wonder if it's because writing is so personal, right? Good writing really taps into like the core of who you are. Like if you're writing, you are really putting yourself out there. And that takes a lot of guts. And I think sometimes we are afraid to be that vulnerable and put ourselves out there and expose that much of ourselves. That's why I think that's why I did what I did when I did it. Yeah.
Hmm. Was there a moment that empowered you where you said, "You know what? I'm just going to do this"? What was there? Was there something that switched, something in your life that?
Um, yeah, I was working in a really stressful job where I didn't feel valued and
Mm,
appreciated.
mm,
And I thought, you know what? Why wouldn't I do this then? It's something that I enjoy. And it really did kind of start out as a distraction from being in a situation where, like I said, I didn't feel valued. And so writing has always given me peace and joy, and the hours fly away when I'm doing it. And so I just decided, yeah, I'm just gonna step out there and I'll just do this. And that's why I wrote it in secret too. I mean, I wrote my first book and I didn't tell anybody I was writing a book.
Oh, I love this conversation, Wanda. Thank you for bringing us on into your journey. Oh my goodness, I'm loving all these comments. We're going to get to every single one of them. Um, Bridget is saying this is so awesome. Bridget, welcome to the conversation. Melissa,
Bridget, that's my cousin.
hi,
Hey,
hi,
Bridget.
cousin Bridget. I love your lavender picture. Lavender is my favorite scent in the world, and your name. Melissa's joining us from Australia saying, "Hi, Sarah and Wanda." Melissa Watson, welcome to the conversation. Anissa saying, "It's so interesting that your characters talk to each other and they take you along for the ride."
Mhm. That's what I feel like. Yeah.
Megan, welcome to the conversation. She'd like to know if any of the characters in this book are based on people in your real life.
That's a great question, Megan. Yeah, I think that I tapped into my mom again. As I told you last year when I was here for the character of Vera, she really was kind of, the strength and resilience that my mom had. And so I think I tapped into her again. Of course, I didn't know my mother in her 20s, right? Because I wasn't born. But I sometimes imagine, because my mother was so, so feisty. My mother's passed on now, but she was so, so feisty. When I did have her. And so I imagine that didn't just like happen all of a sudden, like that's something you're born with. And so in some scenes, I kind of imagine that, yeah, maybe my mother might do this, because she was tough. She was a tough lady. Um, and she was so gregarious, and she was so loving, and she was so kind. And so yeah, I think I put a little bit of my mother into the book. I think actually put a lot of all the women I know in my book. The dedication for the book is dedicated to my grandmothers, my mother, and my daughter.
So I was wondering about that dedication for all of
Mhm.
the Elizabeths, Mary Elizabeth, Lila Elizabeth, Mabel Elizabeth, Alexandra Elizabeth, all strong and fierce women. So I'm glad you brought that up, Wanda, because I was wondering who
Mhm.
these Elizabeths were.
Yeah.
I love that. Megan, thank you for the great question. Wanda, thank you for bringing us into your family. Claire, welcome to the conversation, joining us from YouTube. She says,
Mm.
Wanda, how do you stay persistent? Ooh, great use of the word
Ooh,
persistent. How do you stay persistent in your work?
that's a great
Love
question. You know
that.
what? I think because it took me so long to get here, to get through all my doubts and my reservations, and then to get through learning the craft, um, that I'm finally doing the thing that I love the most and doing the thing that just fills me up. I'm excited to come to the desk every day. And so I think that's what pushes me along, that I get to do every single day the thing that I love to do. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I really think I am in a
No.
place that I absolutely love. And so I love this work. So I come to it every day with an appreciation and a gratefulness for being here.
Mm, Oh, Wanda, you are filling me up with that because I can feel it. I can feel it
Mm,
because it takes time to get there. That is
yeah.
wisdom spoken through lived experience, and you don't get there before you live that and before you
Yeah.
accumulate that and you experience that and all of that living and all of those experiences and all of those moments of feeling less than or feeling unappreciated at work or having a feisty mom and having a form that all of that marinates and
Right.
ripens and then you're ready when you're ready.
Exactly,
I
right? I couldn't have written all her little secrets, 20 years ago, for example. I
mm-mm.
I hadn't lived the experiences that I needed to pour into that book.
Well, I am sure glad you did, and so are all of us because these books are so deeply full of meaning and poignant and powerful. And I am such a huge admirer of both of them and of your work. Wanda, this is just such a great conversation. Claire, thank you for the great question. Loving this. We have a mystery user saying they can't wait to read this. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Lynn saying, this is a great explanation about the use of epithets and when and
Mm,
how you use them. Thank you. Julie saying
thank you.
she also, thank you for answering her question and for the explanation. Julie, thanks again for asking that. I'm going to make sure I get to everybody's questions here, and we will. Just scrolling down here. Margaret, welcome to the conversation, joining us from Portland, Oregon. She
Thank
says,
you, Margaret.
congratulations, Wanda.
Thank you.
Um, she's wondering who else here has a feisty mom. We're celebrating feisty moms here and
Like
forming the
that.
character of Vera. Love that. Anissa's sending you so much love. Thank you for that. Wanda, I want to get to some of some other of your amazing praise here. So the Library Journal also awarded you a starred review. Let's
Mm,
pop over to that. I'm going to pop it up here so we can all read it together. They say beautifully rendered prose. So congratulations. Written in the vernacular of a small Mississippi town will immerse readers in the lives of two sisters trying to survive. In this viscerally frightening novel of the Jim Crow era, Morris writes a stunning, heartbreaking portrayal of being Black in the 1960s U.S. South. Again, a starred review there. Congratulations. So, Wanda, let's talk about some of your research. So, I noticed in your acknowledgments that you talked to some civil rights activists.
mhm.
What did you go down to Mississippi? Did you what was it like? Because I
No,
loved
let
how
me
rich it was with detail.
yeah. Let me tell you who I actually talked to. Um,
Tell us.
a wonderful man by the name of Jonathan Shapiro. and he is a lawyer. He has a firm up in the Boston area, but very early in his career, he worked as one of the attorneys for the Mississippi Summer Project. Now, how did I find him? Through my very good friend, yes, Hank Philippi
Are you
Ryan.
close
That
with
is her husband. And I happened to be talking to Hank, and she's like, "What are you working on next?" And I told her, and she's like, "You need to talk to my husband because he worked at Mississippi during that time." And I was like, "Oh, well, absolutely, I'll talk to anybody." Um, and I talked to him, and then I realized I was actually talking to one of the lawyers who was, being described in the book. These great
Wow.
giants. If you want to talk about patriots, people use that term so loosely now. These are
Mm,
the real patriots, people who went into harm's way to make sure that Blacks and disenfranchised people had the same opportunities as everyone else. Those are the real patriots to me. And so I was just like blown away. He was so generous and so kind with his time. I always like to give a big shout out to the Auburn Avenue library, research library on African American culture and history. I walked in there. I told the librarian, "I'm writing a book and here's what it deals with, and I need help." And he was like, "I got you." And he just opened up the floodgates to all this information, books, papers, magazines, all sorts of information that I just poured through. As I indicated at the top of this conversation, some of it was really, really hard to read,
yeah.
just because of the traumatic horrors that people went through,
Mm,
so that I would have the right to vote. Um, but there was some fun sides to the research too, and I gave people a little snippet of that, like the hair and the makeup, and I posted recently one of the ads that I found in the back of a magazine from 1964, and I won't describe it here. Just go to Instagram, find me on Instagram, and you can see it. And it's crazy what women had to go through in the
mm.
1960s, and I'm sure before that as well. But I was just like, "Oh my gosh." But that was all really a lot of fun too. The music of the time, all of that was like the upside, the fun side of the research.
Yes, yes. We are getting so many collapse and celebration for the work of these patriots, these civil rights activists.
Yeah.
Very cool. I knew that Hank's husband was on the murder list here, which are lawyers who are tapped by judges. It's a very exclusive thing here in Boston to represent defendants accused of
Mhm,
murder. But I didn't know he had, this is a whole nother side of Jonathan Shapiro.
mhm.
Angela,
Exactly.
welcome to the conversation, saying hello and congratulations
Hey,
on your
Angela.
new release, Wanda. Yay. This is very, very cool. Margaret saying, seeing tweets about people with guns watching polling places today. So that's the kind of patriotism I like to see. Yeah, let's talk about that. So 1964 to 2022, it's timely and timeless.
Right.
It's crazy how much has changed, like what you're saying with the beauty and what women had to do, but it's also crazy how little has changed.
Exactly, exactly. I was telling my daughter shortly after the Roe v. Wade decision came down, the reversal of the Roe v. Wade decision, that right now she's in her 20s and she has less rights as a woman in this country than I had when I was in my 20s. And that's not how the world is supposed to work. One of the reasons why I decided to look backwards, because as I told you, I wanted to write, something about um, voting rights in this country after the 2020 election. But one of the reasons why I looked back is because I wanted to explore, how did we get here? And to your point, so much time has elapsed, but so little progress has been made, or we seem to be going backwards, if you will. The fact that right here in the state of Georgia, it's become more difficult to vote than it was, 4, 8 years ago. Um, and it's just an unfortunate and horrifyingly unfortunate parallel between the 1960s and 2022. Not only for voting rights, but a woman's right to govern her own body, police brutality. Um, a lot of it is still issues. There's still issues that we are grappling with. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And thank you for sharing that you went to librarians, a national treasure of
Yes,
information. And Nisa is a librarian, and she's saying librarians are the best. They really are the best.
they
Treasure
really
troves of
they really
information.
I always
Angela
say
saying,
librarians are superheroes in regular clothes. They really are. And now, they're having to be the vanguards of information. I mean, I never would have imagined that we're talking about censoring books in 2022. And
can you
now
imagine?
librarians are at the forefront of that, right? Just
Right.
crazy
We're
stuff.
we're talking about banning Anne Frank's diary. This is
Right.
insane. No book should be banned. This is really crazy.
Craziness.
Um, Angela saying, "Wow, absolutely, Angela, absolutely."
Mhm.
Um, Margaret saying, "Yay, Anissa, yes, thank you, librarians, thank you, thank you, thank you, y'all." I want to remind you, this book is not even out. It is out tomorrow. Wanda's coming on here to give us this special inside scoop, this sneak peek into all things about anywhere you run out tomorrow. So I'm going to share the link now, and you can pre-order your copy of this fabulous book. And the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you tomorrow. Y'all, you're not going to miss this book. So pre-order it no matter where you're watching from, Facebook, YouTube, pre-order tonight, y'all, because you are not going to want to miss this fabulous, fabulous book. Here is the link. Click and order. Marcy McCreary, welcome to the conversation, saying,
Hey,
"Hi, Sarah.
Marcy.
Hi, Wanda." Marcy, a pleasure to see your name pop up. I see we have 3 minutes left, and I want to get to at least one more question, but I also want to share some of this fabulous, fabulous praise. So if anyone has one more question, we can squeeze it in. Angela saying, "Yes, so excited. Anywhere You Want, coming October 25th. 2022. Yes, ma'am. Out tomorrow. Out tomorrow. And Publishers Weekly also awarded you. You earned a starred review. They praised your meticulous research about the era, informs this gripping plot, which alternates between each sister's point of view. Finely sculpted characters and crisp dialogue, which we now know Wanda starts with, help make this a standout. Morris is a writer to watch. Wanda, what do you think is the key to crafting a quote gripping plot? How do you keep those pages turning?
Characters. I always tell people you have to
Hmm.
start with characters that a reader is concerned about, loves, hates, despises, adores, anything, but something that gets the reader following a character, particularly a protagonist. Because, whether you're writing a thriller or, a romance, anything, I think that the key is characters. A reader will follow a character that they love, that they're interested in for 300 pages, whether that character is good or bad.
I love that. I love that. I love that you start with characters because you have two sisters here. We got Marigold and Violet. Violet changes her name to Vera. And we have a third sister, Rose, which we meet through Violet's reading of Rose's diary. As one
Right.
of three sisters myself, I related to this as the oldest. I'm the Rose. Wanda, do you have sisters? How did that inform your writing?
Do. I do. Gosh, and yeah, some of that went into the book too. I have I had three sisters. I now have two sisters. One of my sisters is deceased as well.
Oh,
So yeah, so
yeah.
it's so interesting how, we were talking about why people are afraid to write, but I
Mm,
think, because you tap into so much of what is personal to you. And
mm.
again, I did that with All Her Little Secrets, and I did it again with this book, tapping into those things that touch us. Yeah.
Now, Wanda, would you say, are you the smart sister like Marigold? Are you the fun sister like Violet? Or are you
Um,
the one who wants to be the
yeah.
writer Rose? Or are you all of them?
You know what? I think there's a little bit of each of them in me. Although I was kind of the one that always had my nose in a book. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but yeah, I think that there's a little bit of each of the three sisters in me. Just because, I like to have a good time too. And I love books, I love school. And much like Rose, I
Mhm.
wanted to be a writer. I just didn't know how to do it because I was so confused about it. But, my path ultimately straightened out, and here we are, get to talk with the lovely Sarah about me writing books. And
And
wow.
Anise is saying, I love their names. Now, in the book, you say that their mother named them Rose, Marigold, and Violet because she wanted to bring some beauty into the world. Tell us about the informing of these names. Why did you pick
Yeah.
flowers?
I did because I wanted to give a nod to how people had to find the joy amidst
Ooh.
all the trauma and horror. And so there was this woman who was living in this really oppressive environment of Jim Crow segregation,
Mm,
where, her life was not her own, essentially.
mm-mm, mm,
Um, but in the midst of that, each time she brought a child in the world, she felt like this child is beautiful. There's beauty in the world now.
oh.
And so she called them her little bouquet. And so she named them after flowers. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is you bring us back to Chillicothe,
Mhm.
Georgia, the small town where that plays a very prominent role in All Her Little Secrets. An imaginary town, a
Yes, it
fictional
was
town in Georgia. Now, is this what the cool kids call an Easter egg for your
yeah.
long term fans? Why'd you bring us back to Chillicothe to Birdie? I have to know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that is what they call an Easter egg, right? There's just something about a small town that
Mm,
just is like catnip to me. Um, because you have all these different people and everybody kind of knows everybody, but then beneath the layers, there are all these secrets. And
ooh,
in this particular small town, you have everybody from, not only Violet, but you have Lily May, who's a queer character and
mm,
could not find her place. And I put her there to demonstrate the problem that the church has with queer Black people. And
mm,
you had,
mm,
a homeless man who essentially the woman who runs the boarding house takes care of him because community takes care of each other. And
mm.
so I wanted to kind of dabble a little bit in all of these particular segments of a small town community. There's something about small towns and writing about them that really kind of fuels me. I like that.
I like that you say they're like catnip to you. I love that. I love that. Anissa saying she loves Easter eggs. Another mystery user really say, are these stories connected in some way? Do I need to read them in order? Should someone read All Her Little Secrets first, Wanda?
No, you really do not. You can read them. They're both standalone books. You'll recognize some characters across both books, but I think you'll find that fun, and you'll think, oh gosh, whatever happened to, or things like that. And so the second book might answer some of those questions.
Oh, thank you for that answer. Thanks for the great question. Margaret saying her friend's book has a rose, lily, and marigold. So there must be
Oh,
something about these sisterly names. Absolutely loving this. And we have Tracy Clark, Queen Tracy, in the
Queen Tracy.
audience. Queen Tracy joining us saying, congratulations, Wanda. Tracy, thanks for coming in. I'm hosting Tracy again in December. I can't wait.
Yay. I
Um,
adore Tracy. Oh, her books
Tracy,
are so good.
oh
So
my God.
good.
So good. And I can't wait until we host until she comes back in December, y'all. So stay tuned. That Anissa saying you don't have to read them in order, but you will want to read both for sure. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you will. DL's giving you all the hearts.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Lisa Unger raving about your brilliant book. Gilly McMillan, who's also been on the show, calling this a stunning thriller and a stunning work of historical fiction. I could go on and on, y'all. It has been such a pleasure, but we are out of time. We are actually over time. So I want to remind you, this book is out tomorrow. Here's the link again. Y'all are going to want to read it. So grab your link again. Marcy saying All Her Little Secrets was one of the best I read last year. Absolutely. Marcy, the same. It was my favorite book of the year. I'm going to get a screenshot of us. Hold your book up again one more time. And yay. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us for this Mystery Monday. Wanda, thanks for coming on to give us the inside scoop about this fabulous book. And y'all, here's the link one more time. Pre-order right now. You're going to love it. And when you're watching Wanda's book on Showtime, starring Uzo Adobo, Crazy Eyes in for all of you Orange is the New Black fans. And she was also Shirley
Chisholm.
Chisholm.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley Chisholm, thank you, ma'am. She is fabulous, and she will be heading this all-star cast. So you're going to want to get on the action now, and I'm sure we're going to see this one on the screen next. Julie saying thank you, y'all. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the movie deal. Yes. Wanda, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations. Happy Pub Day, and I will look forward to seeing you next year, if not sooner.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Mwah.